I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
Hi, it's Taylor T. Carlson, and I'm back with another video for you. If you know me at all, you know that I'm an old school gamer. I love old school video games from back in the day. When I was a little boy, my NES was my absolute favorite toy, and about 30 years later, I thought it'd be a good idea to go back and take a look at this, The Wizard. This is a classic movie that came out from Universal in December of '89, and it's just been reissued in an anniversary special edition from Shout Factory as part of their Shout Select line. Before we get too into the actual movie itself and the features on this disc, I thought I'd do a brief unboxing segment so you can get an idea of what you're buying if you pick up this special edition. This, of course, is the front cover. It's in a slipcover. Here's the back, and then this slides off. There's a reversible sleeve underneath that I've already reversed. This is the alternate cover art that you can reverse to. This is a little closer to the original poster that you'd see in movie theaters promoting the film, and then the back cover is pretty much the same as what you see on the slipcover. Inside here you've got two discs. One is the movie, deleted scenes, and a trailer, and the other is the remainder of the bonus features. Before getting too into this film or the disc itself, you have to understand that at this point Nintendo pretty much had a monopoly on the video game world. There were some lesser competing companies back then, but at this point no one really rivaled Nintendo. And it was time for them to take things to the next level. They had a new game coming out they wanted to promote with this film, and essentially Nintendo and Universal and Nintendo wanted to do something that, according to the features on this DVD, was essentially the Karate Kid but with video games. Whether this movie actually accomplishes that, though, is really open to interpretation. The movie itself revolves around the Woods family, a dysfunctional family in which the three children's mother has passed away, and the father has since remarried, and he's estranged from his wife, and she has since remarried as well. It's definitely a family that's been broken apart by all kinds of tragedies, including a deeper one that's looked into later in the film. Jimmy, the youngest son, clearly suffers from some sort of mental disorder, and oddly enough, it's found that he's actually an ace at video games due to his mental capacity. His slightly older brother Corey and him set out on a road trip where they meet Haley, a girl from a similar dysfunctional family, and they join forces because they want to put Jimmy into a video game tournament so that he can prove to his family he's not just a screw-up or a mental case, as his mother and stepfather want to put him into a home for his condition. Now, all along the trip, they wager money, they play games, they win the money, they need to stay on the road, but the families back home, including Jimmy's oldest brother and father, set out to look for him, as does a greedy bounty hunter who's hired by their stepfather. Eventually, they get to Universal Studios Hollywood, which is the home of the tournament, but will Jimmy win, especially considering there's so much competition all around the world come to play for the tournament? I've seen a lot of heavy-handed and less than favorable reviews and comments towards this film. There's a lot of people that call it a great big commercial for Nintendo games and, to a lesser extent, the Universal Studios Hollywood tour. Maybe these criticisms are valid to some extent, but the movie's actually slightly deeper than that, and given that this was a PG movie that was largely designed to sell video games and promote Nintendo, there's actually some pretty heavy-handed themes here, including mental disorders, divorce, dysfunctional families, and even death. The cast includes names like Beau Bridges, the lesser-known brother of Jeff Bridges, and of course Fred Savage, who at the time was a megastar because he was playing Kevin Arnold in The Wonder Years, one of the top-rated shows of the day. The rest of the cast includes Christian Slater as their other brother, and there are even a few appearances from actors who would go on to fame in later years for different things. Look at this picture here. That's Tobey Maguire on the far left, who of course would later be known for playing Spider-Man. And in this scene, the Video Armageddon tournament registrar is played by Lee Ehrenberg, who would later go on to be known as Pintel in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. I'm not going to deny that this movie does have some problems. There are a lot of complex plot elements, particularly regarding the family and keeping track of who is who. The actor playing the bounty hunter, Will Seltzer, this guy is just such a slime ball, and he's absolutely perfect at this role because of that. It's almost a shame this guy's career didn't really take off because he plays this part so well. And overall, I would say your love of this movie, how much you're going to like it, I think hinges a lot on nostalgia. I think if you want to go back in time and re-explore, rediscover this movie, you're going to have a blast doing it, even if some elements do feel a little dated. People who have never seen it before might wonder what all the fuss was about, and those criticisms are certainly valid, but just the same, I had a blast going back and watching the movie again, and anyone who's a fan of retro gaming, tournaments, anything like that, I think should give the movie a shot. The Wizard has been released on home video several times. Unfortunately, most of those releases have not been very good. It was on VHS, it was on DVD with no bonus features. A few years ago, we got a Blu-ray that had no bonus features and an absolutely horrible looking scrubbed and processed transfer. It was one of the worst looking movies on Blu-ray disc I've ever seen. Luckily, Shout Factory, one of my favorite niche boutique labels, has stepped up to the plate and finally given this movie the treatment it deserves. This Blu-ray disc features a 4K transfer which has just been beautifully restored and remastered. It still looks like an older film, so it's not going to be razor sharp in every single scene, but this is far better than I ever thought I would see this movie looking, and that's definitely saying a lot considering how bad the previous release was. But the real highlight of this release are the bonus features. Disc 1 has the movie itself, as well as a new commentary track from director Todd Holland. There's also the original trailer for the film on that disc, but the holy grail that you're going to find on Disc 1 is deleted scenes. And I'm not talking like 1 or 2 extra scenes, storyboarded, animatic stuff. There's 40 minutes worth of previously unreleased deleted scenes in this package. I never thought I would get to see this level of bonus content for a movie that tends to get a mixed critical reception. It's really interesting to see that a lot of these deleted scenes are set before the big road trip even gets started. And there's plenty of extra stuff along the way that you never would have known was in the movie otherwise. I'm not going to spoil too much here because I think fans should get to explore these scenes for themselves, although you will be seeing a few clips here and there in this video, as I'm sure you're seeing now. Disc 2 keeps the bonus features coming with an hour-long documentary on the making of the film, as well as a documentary featurette looking at Nintendo game counselors. Do you remember back when they were a thing and you had to call in if you wanted help with your game? I actually had to call them back when I was a little boy a few times because that was long before the days of FAQs and the internet. There's also a featurette looking at a PhD certified psychologist looking at Jimmy's condition in the movie, what he might have, and how that sort of thing may impact him. You'll also find a Q&A following a retro screening of the movie at an Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, and a photo gallery with plenty of rare behind-the-scenes footage as well. The Wizard is not a masterpiece, but it certainly holds a lot of sentimental value for me, being an old-school gamer who loves to go back and rediscover things like these. The cast here is actually surprisingly solid. You got the likes of Fred Savage, Beau Bridges, Christian Slater, and even Jenny Lewis before she got into music. I strongly recommend this release for anyone who's a fan of the movie. Those people who aren't familiar with it might want to give it a test view first before they lay down the money for a purchase, but this is better than any prior release of this movie in every conceivable way. If you bought any previous version, yes, this is worth the double dip. If you haven't already done so, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I am going to be putting up some more retro video game reviews in the coming weeks. That's admittedly something I've fallen a little behind on, as well as some more ranking lists as well. I'm Taylor T. Carlson, and I will see you in my next video.